book, Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita. As a prominent magistrate, Bhaktivinoda Thakura was a responsible government officer. He served also as superintendent of the temple of Lord Jagannatha and was the father of 10 children. Yet, in spite of these responsibilities, he served the cause of Krishna with prodigious energy. After coming home from his office in the evening, taking his meals and going to bed, he would sleep from 8 until midnight and then get up and write until morning. He wrote more than 100 books during his life, many of them in English. One of his important contributions with the cooperation of Jagannatha Dasa Babaji and Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji was to locate the exact birthplace of Lord Chaitanya in Mayapur, about 60 miles north of Calcutta. While working to reform Gaudiya Vaishnavism in India, he prayed to Lord Chaitanya, "Your teachings have been much depreciated. It is not in my power to restore them." And he prayed for a son to help him in his preaching. When on February 6, 1874, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was born to Bhaktivinoda Thakura in Jagannath Puri. The Vaishnavas considered him the answer to his father's prayers. He was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck and draped across his chest like the sacred thread worn by Brahmanas. His parents gave him the name Bimala Prasada. When Bimala Prasada was 6 months old, the cart of the Jagannath festival stopped at the gate of Bhaktivinoda's residence and for 3 days could not be moved. Bhaktivinoda Thakura's wife brought the infant onto the cart and approached the deity of Lord Jagannatha. Spontaneously, the infant extended his arms and touched the feet of Lord Jagannath and was immediately blessed with a garland that fell from the body of the Lord. When Bhaktivinoda Thakura learned that the Lord's garland had fallen onto his son, he realized that this was the son for whom he had prayed. One day, when Bimala Prasad was still a child of no more than 4 years, his father mildly rebuked him for eating a mango not yet duly offered to Lord Krishna. Bimala Prasada, although only a child, considered himself an offender to the Lord and vowed never to eat mangoes again. This was a vow that he would follow throughout his life. By the time Bimala Prasad was 7 years old, he had memorized the entire Bhagavad Gita and could even explain its verses. His father then began training him in proofreading and printing. In conjunction with the publishing of the Vaishnava magazine Sajjana Tosani, with his father, he visited many holy places and heard discourses from the learned Panditas. As a student, Bimala Prasad preferred to read the books written by his father instead of the school test. By the time he was 25, he had become well versed in Sanskrit, mathematics, and astronomy, and he had established himself as the author and publisher of many magazine articles and one book, Surya Siddhanta, for which he received the epithet Siddhanta Saraswati in recognition of his erudition. When he was 26, his father guided him to take initiation from a renounced Vaishnava saint, Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji, who advised him to preach the absolute truth and keep aside all other works. Receiving the blessings of Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji, Bimala Prasad, now Siddhanta Saraswati, resolved to dedicate his body, mind, and words to the service of Lord Krishna. In 1905, Siddhanta Saraswati took a vow to chant the Hare Krishna mantra 1 billion times, residing in Mayapur in a grass hut near the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. He chanted the Hare Krishna mantra day and night. He cooked rice once a day in an earthen pot and ate nothing more. He slept on the ground. and when the rainwater leaked through the glass ceiling, he sat beneath an umbrella chanting. In 1911, while his aging father was lying ill, Siddhanta Saraswati took up a challenge against pseudo Vaishnavas who claimed that birth in their caste was the prerequisite for preaching Krishna consciousness. The caste conscious Brahmana community had become incensed by Bhaktivinoda Thakura's presentation of many scriptural proof that anyone, regardless of birth, could become a Brahmana, Vaishnava. The Smarta Brahmanas, out to prove the inferiority of the Vaishnavas, arranged a discussion. On behalf of his indisposed father, young Siddhanta Saraswati wrote an essay, The Conclusive Difference Between the Brahmana and the Vaishnava, and submitted it before his father. Despite his poor health, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was elated to hear the arguments that would soundly defeat the challenge of the Smartas. Siddhanta Saraswati then traveled to Midnapur, where Panditas from all over India had gathered for a 3-day discussion. Some of the Smarta Panditas who spoke first claimed that anyone born in a Shudra family, even though initiated by a spiritual master, could never become purified and perform the Brahmanical duties of worshipping the deity or initiating disciples. Finally, Siddhartha Saraswati delivered his speech. He began quoting Vedic references, glorifying the Brahmanas, and at this, the Smarta scholars became very much pleased. But when he began discussing the actual qualification for becoming a Brahmana, the qualities of the Vaishnavas, the relationship between the two, and who, according to the Vedic literature, is qualified to become a spiritual master and initiate disciples, then the joy of the Vaishnava haters disappeared. Siddhanta Saraswati conclusively proved from the scriptures that if one is born as a Shudra but exhibits the qualities of a Brahmana, then he should be honored as a Brahmana despite his birth. And if one is born in a Brahmana family but acts like a Shudra, then he is not a Brahmana. After his speech, Siddhanta Saraswati was congratulated by the president of the conference, and thousands thronged around him. It was a victory for Vaishnavism. With the passing away of his father in 1914 and his spiritual master in 1915, Siddhanta Saraswati continued the mission of Lord Chaitanya. He assumed editorship of Sajjana Toshani and established the Bhagavad Press in Krishnanagar. Then in 1918 in Mayapur, he sat down before a picture of Gaurakishora Dasa Babaji and initiated himself into the sannyasa order. At this time, he assumed the sannyasa title Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. Hare Krishna.